Article 2, Obstruction of Congress. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment and that the President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. In his conduct of the office of the President of the United States and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of President of the United States and, to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, Donald J. Trump has directed the unprecedented, categorical, and indiscriminate defiance of subpoenas issued by the House of Representatives.
Now, we're watching Congress make some major moves aimed at ending Trump's presidency by invoking Article 2 of the Constitution. This isn't just idle chatter or vague threats anymore. It's serious. Actual impeachment resolutions have been filed that reference Article 2, Section 4. This section clearly states that a president can be removed from office for high crimes and misdemeanors. And this isn't merely symbolic. The resolutions detail specific charges, including tyranny, abuse of power, and even violations of the First Amendment. One resolution alone includes 7 separate articles of impeachment. Alongside that, another resolution accuses Trump of inciting violence against lawmakers and judges. Has the Senate voted to remove him yet? Not quite. But the number of resolutions calling for his removal continues to grow, and lawmakers are openly calling for action. Advocacy groups are also mobilizing, rallying around Article 2 language to bring an end to what they refer to as Trump's regime. The Constitution is clear on this issue. Article 2, Section 4 states that a president must be removed from office upon impeachment and conviction for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. There is little room for interpretation, and members of Congress are now relying on this language to make their case for Trump's removal.
President Trump has abused the powers of the presidency in a manner offensive to and subversive of the Constitution, in that the House of Representatives has engaged in an impeachment inquiry focused on President Trump's corrupt solicitation of the government of Ukraine to interfere in the 2020 United States presidential election. As part of this impeachment inquiry, the committee's undertaking the investigation serves subpoenas seeking documents and testimony deemed vital to the inquiry from various executive branch agencies and offices and current and former officials. In response, without lawful cause or excuse, President Trump directed executive branch agencies, offices, and officials.
Back in April 2025, Representative Al Green introduced a serious formal resolution to impeach Donald Trump, citing high crimes and misdemeanors. This was not a one-page symbolic document. The resolution was extensive and detailed, laying out 7 specific articles of impeachment. The first article charged obstruction of justice. The second accused Trump of usurping Congress's power over appropriations. The third focused on abuse of trade powers and acts of international aggression. The fourth alleged violations of First Amendment rights. The fifth addressed the creation of an unlawful office. The sixth detailed bribery and corruption, and the seventh accused Trump of tyranny. Each article did more than criticize Trump's behavior. It cited specific actions, alleged violations of law, and abuses of presidential authority. Rather than merely condemning Trump politically, the resolution attempted to construct a formal constitutional case for his removal under Article 2 of the Constitution. It explicitly stated that under Article 2, Section 4, Trump should be removed from office for committing high crimes and misdemeanors. Then, in December 2025, Representative Green filed another impeachment resolution, House Resolution 939. This resolution accused Trump of abuse of power for allegedly calling for the execution of 6 Democratic lawmakers. Green argued that inciting violence against members of Congress is precisely the type of conduct impeachment was designed to address. The severity of the allegation underscored how unprecedented the political moment had become. As a result, a growing number of lawmakers began pushing for impeachment. Multiple impeachment resolutions were filed, and members of Congress openly called for Trump's removal using Article 2 as the constitutional foundation. Advocacy groups also mobilized, organizing campaigns, gathering signatures, contacting lawmakers, and raising public awareness. Their message was consistent. Trump had violated Article 2, abused his power, and acted tyrannically. In their view, the Constitution provided a remedy through impeachment and removal, and Congress had a duty to act. That said, the process is often misunderstood. While headlines sometimes suggest the Senate is invoking Article 2, that is not technically accurate. Impeachment begins in the House of Representatives. If the House impeaches, the Senate then conducts a trial. Removal from office requires a two-thirds vote in the Senate. At present, the House holds several impeachment resolutions that have not yet been brought to a vote. If Democrats were to regain control of the House in the November 2026 midterm elections, they could move those resolutions forward. Should the House vote to impeach, the case would then go to the Senate, where senators would determine whether the charges constitute high crimes and misdemeanors under Article 2, Section 4. If two-thirds of the Senate voted to convict, Trump would be removed from office. Although the Senate has not yet acted, the groundwork has been laid. The impeachment resolutions exist, and the constitutional language is clear. Whether removal occurs depends largely on political conditions and electoral outcomes. Article 2, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution states, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors." The language is direct and mandatory. If a president is impeached and convicted of these offenses, removal is required. The main impeachment resolution, H. Res. 353, lays out 7 articles. The obstruction of justice article alleges systematic interference with investigations, attacks on judges and juries, and misuse of presidential authority to evade accountability. Obstruction of justice has historically been considered a core impeachable offense and was included in the articles against President Nixon. Another article accuses Trump of usurping Congress's power over spending by redirecting funds, freezing appropriated money, and using federal resources without congressional approval. The Constitution grants Congress control over federal spending, and the resolution argues that Trump's actions violated the separation of powers and amounted to tyranny. The resolution also accuses Trump of abusing trade powers and engaging in international aggression without congressional authorization, citing tariff threats, military actions, and misuse of emergency economic powers. These actions are framed as violations of Congress's authority over war and commerce. The First Amendment article alleges Trump used presidential power to intimidate and punish the press, threatening journalists and attempting to suppress criticism. The resolution argues that violating free speech rights constitutes a serious constitutional offense. Additional articles address the creation of unlawful offices within the executive branch without congressional approval, bribery and corruption through personal financial benefit and foreign payments, and tyranny, defined as asserting unchecked power, disregarding courts and Congress, and undermining democratic institutions. Taken together, the resolution argues that Trump breached his oath of office, exceeded constitutional limits, and committed high crimes and misdemeanors warranting removal. House Resolution 939 further escalated matters by addressing Trump's alleged call for the execution of lawmakers. Inciting violence against Congress was characterized as an attack on the legislative branch and a textbook example of tyranny, exactly the kind of conduct impeachment exists to stop. Politically, however, filing impeachment resolutions does not guarantee removal. The House can impeach with a simple majority, but Senate conviction requires 67 votes. Trump has been impeached twice before in 2019 and 2021 and acquitted both times by the Senate. For removal to occur now, Democrats would need unanimous support within their caucus and a significant number of Republican defections. Several factors could influence that outcome: shifts in public opinion, the severity of the evidence, Trump's political strength, economic instability, or additional legal and constitutional crises. Some lawmakers have also floated the 25th Amendment as an alternative, though that route would require the vice president and cabinet to act, which remains unlikely. Regardless of the outcome, impeachment carries political consequences. It dominates news cycles, constrains a president's agenda, exposes misconduct, and forces lawmakers to take clear constitutional positions. Even without removal, impeachment shapes historical records and establishes accountability. The impeachment resolutions also frame the debate in constitutional terms rather than partisan disagreement. Supporters argue that the issue is not policy differences, but violations of Article 2 and the rule of law itself. Looking ahead, the 2026 midterm elections are pivotal. If Democrats regain the House, impeachment proceedings could advance quickly. If not, the resolutions may remain dormant. Either way, the situation reflects a presidency facing sustained constitutional challenges, institutional resistance, and serious questions about the abuse of executive power. At the center of it all is Article 2 of the Constitution. Whether through impeachment, the 25th Amendment, or future legal accountability, the argument being made is that Trump's conduct has crossed constitutional boundaries. The groundwork has been laid, the charges have been filed, and the constitutional clock is ticking.